The 2024 NBA season is nearing an end, as when this is being recorded, it is 4 days from the first game of the NBA Finals. And with that being said, every team aside from the Mavericks and the Celtics are focused on their offseason now. And with the draft combine also finishing up, it leaves a lot of teams obviously looking more at the draft prospects before the draft and all the offseason processes. This 2024 NBA draft class is seen as a relatively weak draft class, with the top name to most people being Alex Sarr. And if you look through the draft class, you could definitely tell it is a relatively weak draft class. And, there's not too much talent even in the draft lottery itself. And for that reason, I'm honestly really confused with this guy being, mocked so low in a lot of draft classes, as I think he will be the steal of the draft. And it is this guy.
And there it is!
Bob Carrington makes history tonight in Pittsburgh.
Guard for the Pittsburgh Panthers, Carrington. Don't look at the scoreboard if you're the Aggies.
Carrington from downtown.
Carlton Bub Carrington, a 6'4" point guard with a 6'8" wingspan. He's the second youngest player in this draft, as he was a freshman at Pittsburgh. And if you take a look at some of Bub Carrington's stats this season, he had 33 games played with 33.2 minutes per game, nearly 14 points per game, 4.1 assists, 5.2 rebounds, zero point 0.6 steals, 0.2 blocks, with 2.4 personal fouls a game, 1.9 turnovers, shooting 41.2% from the field, 32.2% from the three-point line, and 78.5% from the free throw line. Now, if you take a look at some of his stats and some of his shooting percentages, you might not be too high on him, but we will obviously be going all over, some of the things and why. If you watch this guy play, you can tell that this guy will be something at the next level for sure, as he is just an elite shot maker. And, he has all the tools, I think, to succeed in the league, as we will be going over his strengths and weaknesses. So if you take a look at Bub Carrington's strengths, it is his elite mid-range shooting. I think, especially for this draft class, just way better than everyone else's. He's good in the pick and roll game, good handles. He's got good assist to turnover ratio. His rebounding for a guard is really good. He's a volume 3-point shooter, and he's an amazing pull-up shooter also. And I will obviously be going over all that after we go over his weaknesses too. And yeah. So if you take a look at some of his weaknesses, he rarely drives to the rim. He has a low steal and block rate. He could definitely benefit from adding some strength to his frame, which I think obviously, that kind of goes into his top two weaknesses, as I think him being stronger would help, him getting to the rim a lot more, and him on defense with, getting more steals and blocks and all that type of stuff. And then lastly, his catch and shoot, I think, could definitely be better. Now to kind of quickly go over his strengths and weaknesses a little bit. If you watch film of this guy, he is an elite mid-range shooter. I think he's the best mid-range shooter in the draft. Amazing in the pick and roll, as if I was a team, I'm looking at a young point guard that is really good in the pick and roll, and I'm jumping on that. Like I'm going to want a guy that is really good in pick and roll, really good at reading defenses, has a good IQ, especially above his age. If you hear this guy talk, as as I was kind of scouting him, I was also, looking at, obviously something about his personality, trying to hear him talk, stuff like that. And you could hear this guy say that he knows, like, whether he's playing, North Carolina or Duke or whatever school he's playing, he understands and reads the defenses based off, school he's playing. He kind of knows, like, he has IQ, I think, a lot more than a lot of point guards at this age, as, a lot of people will kind of, tell you. And as you can see with a lot of, young point guards, a lot of the problem with them when it comes to the NBA level is understanding, reading, defenses, just being overall really, really good at, understanding all that type of stuff of playing, with your teammates, rather than kind of just playing to try to get a shot. He's also been quoted kind of saying, he's a team guy, unselfish guy. He's looking to, find his teammate more than he's looking to, get a shot. But if that's what, is presented to him, he's going to shoot the ball. And that's what you want in a guy. He's confident. He could shoot a lot of shots from the three, even if, maybe he's having an off night, he's still going to shoot the shot. And that's what you want to see in a point guard. And then obviously a guy with really good, passing and playmaking, as I think that's the one of the things that are the most underrated about him is, this guy has an amazing assist to turnover ratio, especially for the second youngest player in this draft, a young point guard. One of the biggest problems also with point guards coming to the NBA is a lot of them kind of play, a little too loose or a little too, too quick to the point where they're making kind of dumb decisions, stuff like that. And that is not the case with him. Like Bub Carrington, this guy, he will make the right read. He's going to make the right pass. He doesn't turn over the ball almost at all. Which, for a guy that at Pittsburgh, he was mainly, that guy for this team. He had the ball a lot. He had high usage rate, and for him to have that low of, turnovers, I think is something that you really like to see in a point guard for sure. Now, also, I wouldn't put too much into his, 3-point percentage and his field goal percentage, as he was, like I was saying earlier, he was that guy at Pittsburgh for this team, meaning he also is going to take a lot of, forced shots sometimes with, shot clock running low, something like that. He's going to take up some of the forced shots that, are not good shot attempts, but obviously when you're that guy, you kind of have to do some of those things. And obviously, going into the NBA, playing with a lot more, better talent, obviously in the NBA, and having, other guys around him and not being that guy for a team right away, he definitely is not going to have a lot of these forced shot attempts, which, if that limits like, maybe 2 or 3, 4 shot attempts a game, his percentages could look a lot better, obviously. And I think with his 3-point shooting, he's a volume 3-point shooter, even if it might not be the greatest percentage. Volume 3-point shooting, I think, is the biggest thing you look at when it comes to a guy that is going to take that next step in the NBA. Obviously, he's a guy that you have to still respect from the three, obviously. Like, he is a good 3-point shooter in college. And if you give him an NBA trainer, this guy will become a great 3-point shooter, I think. As his mid-range is already elite. And, you add to that, obviously, a really, really good 3-point, shot and great playmaking like he has. This guy's going to be amazing, especially with him also being good at rebounding for his position. Like, he is all around a threat, I think, on both sides of the court. As, like I was kind of saying with his weaknesses, if he adds some, strength to his frame, he is going to be even better at defense. And I don't think he's that bad at defense, as, some people kind of have said that he's not that good of a defender, as I kind of look through, mock drafts and kind of why they have him so low. And a lot of it is about his defense, and I think that his defense isn't that bad. He just has a low, steal and block rate, which will get better, I think, for sure, if he adds some strength. Kind of like his other weakness, I think if he adds some strength, he's definitely going to be better at, driving to the rim, pressuring the rim more. So I say the biggest thing for him is, adding strength, and he's going to be a lot better. And then maybe more mechanically, I guess, with his catch and shoot from the three. And just all around, if he could get his mechanics a little bit more right from the 3-point shooting, he's going to be nice on both sides of the ball. Now, obviously, I would like to see this guy kind of go to a team like, the Wizards is where I see him mocked to a lot, the Pelicans. One of the teams where I think he has a lot of opportunity, as this guy, I think, will be for sure the steal of the NBA draft. He's going to be something in the NBA for sure, as he has all the tools you want to see in a point guard. And for him to be the second youngest in the draft, in a weak draft class, I think even more so, kind of shows why I think he should be going a lot higher than where he's mocked to. And this guy will be something for sure at the next level. So yeah, kind of quickly, scouted this guy, all that type of stuff, and, showed you a little bit more about Bub Carrington. why I think he's going to be the steal of the NBA draft.